This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed by the host of My Brain is a Wonderland are exactly that, views and opinions. This is Emily Ruth Henderson, and I'm the host of My Brain is a Wonderland, the podcast for neurodivergent women and the people who love them. In 2020, after a hellish pandemic, I was diagnosed with ADHD and autism. Surprise! Now, I am passionate about reaching other women just like me who've been pushed aside, ignored, and misdiagnosed for far too long. Each week, I discuss my experience navigating my 30s with these two life-changing diagnoses. There'll be highs, there'll be lows, and everything in between when you join me for Season 3 of My Brain is a Wonderland. Hello everyone, this is Emily and I'm back with you today on this wonderful Wednesday. I'm actually recording it on Tuesday, but it's also wonderful. Hopefully Wednesday is as wonderful. How's everybody doing out there? Because I am okay. And I think when people say they're okay, it means you're just okay. It's not, a great feeling to be okay. As all of you know, I'm dealing with some work stuff, and I'm telling you, I had a meeting put on my calendar for Friday. Today, I had the meeting put on my calendar, and I was like, I'm done. I am. God. Do you guys ever, I'm sure you do, I've read about them on Reddit boards, and I was like, oh, thank God, me too. Do you guys ever, when you're hopped up, worked up, you're like, oh, this person, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 and you do it in your head like you're having the conversation with them. You're like, and you're not even going like, this is what I'm going to say. This is how I'm going to be. You just have it in your head, the conversation, like it's a real conversation. And you're speaking the words you want to say in your head and you're hearing the words back from the other person. I do that all the time. And I did it for this meeting because I'm like, okay, what am I going to say? And it usually works out in a way that I kind of get some of my energy out, get some of my anger out, and also work through the issue to feel out what I really want to say. Or not what I really want to say. The first thing is what I really want to say. But to work through what I want to say so it lands in a way that doesn't sound super intense or angry, pissed, whatever. And so I've been doing that today after work, just being like, okay, la 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 la, and la 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 la. And it's like when you were mad about an email you just got, and then or a text, right? And you're about to respond. And I do this all the time. I'll write it out and then delete it. Write it out, delete it. Show it to my husband, delete it. And then be like, okay, I think this is safe to send. So that's what I'm working through right now, is like, just get it all out in your brain. All of that stuff where you're like, F you, F this. You need to be accountable for your F-ups. I will be accountable for what I F'd up, but I am not gonna deal with this BS. And then you need to get to a point where you're like, hello, I would like to redirect my feelings into a new safe place. Here's what I will say. I have mixed feelings about AI. But I actually, when I was, based on like art, they steal art, right? They kind of aggregate art online to make new pictures, things like that. And AI can seem a bit scary, but it's where we're going. I was at work the other day, and someone I work with was like, I just looked up on ChatGPT how to say F off professionally. And she actually read back the response, and I was like, actually, that's the perfect professional response to be like, this isn't a me problem, this is a you problem. goodbye, whatever. And so I actually used my Google reward points. If you don't have the rewards app, if it's on an Android, you get free points just by answering surveys. Yes, they collect your data. And you get to spend it on things like books, buying books, renting movies, add-ins for games. If you have an iPhone, you can cash it out, actually. So I actually spent all my points that I built up on a lifetime subscription to ChatGPT. And it was really fascinating because you can just be like, okay, here's what I want to say. You're psychotic. This is all on you. You messed up. This is because of you. I will not take responsibility for this. And ChatGPT is like, here's what you need to say. And it's so professional sounding. So actually, I super recommend it for people who are neurodivergent for figuring out what you want to say. You know what you want to say, but you can't get out what you actually... I mean, you can get out what you want to say, but it comes across super, like intense, maybe confrontational, maybe demanding of people. So I really recommend ChatGPT just to say, like, I want to say to my friend, thank you, no thank you, or whatever. And you can be super detailed and it will just spit out a thing and you can pick and choose, right? Pick a sentence here, modify a sentence there. But I actually found it super helpful already for work. And I just want to put out there one of my favorite memes I've seen online. It's not really a meme. It's like someone posted on Twitter or whatever. For work, especially if you work in a corporate environment, it was this guy's sign off on his email, or like when he's on PTO or something, or people are emailing him constantly saying like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And he said, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. And I was like, oh my, or a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. And I was like, oh my God, dude, you sing it, sell it, say it, love it. It was so life-changing when I heard that. I was like, yes. Does that seem a little rude? Maybe, right? It seems a little confrontational. And I don't mind being straight with people, sometimes a little too straight, but I love it. Maybe because I'm autistic. But I think maybe if I put that into ChatGPT, they could probably spit out an even better response that said what you want to say, but wasn't so like, you effed up, right? Like, I don't want to call people out. I don't want to be like, you effed up. Like, F you effed up. I'm not dealing with this. I want to be like, we're all human. I get it. But I can't deal with this because it wasn't my thing to deal with, and I'm sorry you're dealing with it. I will help you any way I can because I would hope you would help me in the same situation. But I'm not gonna, die on the cross for this, especially for a job. So that's what I'm dealing with, guys. If you're dealing with that too, I hear you, I feel you, I can't see you, but I wish I could. I understand. It is, But really, download the ChatGPT app. Put in if you're struggling, like, how do I respond to this dumpster fire email? Put that into the chat and say, how do I respond to this professionally? And you will get a perfectly professional response, and you can kind of meter through it. But really, the response is always like, thank you, AI genius. Good job. Okay. So let's get started on our episode today. We are talking about masking symptoms of autism from Neurodivergent Insights. And today is the first episode on the third kind of categorized masking symptoms. The first set of symptoms were based on mimicking and copying allyistic social norms, aka compensating. The second set of symptoms were based on repressing autistic traits, which is classed as masking. Super fascinating to me that masking is seen as repressing, and there are actually other ways of quote-unquote masking that aren't repressing. And today we're going to start on performing and pretending, aka assimilation. And if you don't know, if you haven't listened to the other episodes, I'll just recap real quick. This is based on a questionnaire sent out by researchers where they sent them to like 400 autistic adults, around 400 non-autistic adults, and they were asking them to identify their masking symptoms. And then from those results, the researchers classified them in these 3 different ways, which is compensating, masking, and assimilating. So today, we're going to talk about the assimilating symptoms. And this will be 2 episodes. I'm going to do the first 4, and then I'll do the next 4, I think there's 8, next week. So let's get started. So the first symptom is conversations or signs you are masking autism through pretending. Conversations feel unnatural and don't flow smoothly. I absolutely agree with this. It really depends on the situation and who I'm with, right? Like, I could be with coworkers at work, and we have a super unmasked relationship in certain situations. And that's honestly usually because I've traveled with them for work. So we've gone away for a weekend. We've been staying in a hotel. We've been drinking. We've been hanging out, as opposed to like just showing up at the office saying hello. And when I'm unmasked, which is often, I'm often unmasked, guys. Like, honestly, I'm often at work just like blah, 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 blah. And I like that. I like being unmasked. I like saying what I want to say and being accepted for what I say and who I am. I really like that. And so I don't feel like my conversations are unnatural, not smooth. But when I am consciously pretending in a situation, maybe with higher ups at work, or in a situation where you're like, okay, you need to, then I do feel absolutely uncomfortable. I feel like my conversation is not flowing. It's all I'm thinking about all the time. And I really hate that. I was actually at work. Like I just said, we're having a difficult time at work. I was at work a couple of weeks ago. And I live in America. I'm British, though. I'm British. I'm sarcastic. And not just I'm British, I'm witty. I'm told that all the time. I make jokes. I'm a joke machine. I'm funny. It's always like blah, blah, ha, ha. And I was with 2 people, and they were like, and I've been making a joke because we've been so busy. Someone will, like a manager will come to my desk and I'm like, what do you want? And it's a joke, right? It's like what do you know, with certain people you can't make that joke. But I was with 2 people, and one of them, and my manager said, hey, can you do this? And I was like, sure, I've got nothing else to do. That was a sarcastic joke about the fact that I have everything to do right now. Of course, I'll take it on, referencing this kind of funny, like, oh, we're in the shit. And there was a door open when I said that, with certain people at my job, maybe higher up than me, and one of the managers said, shh, shh, like, didn't say audibly because the door was open, like, gestured to me to not say that. And I felt so uncomfortable. Like, and then realized, oh, is my wit being seen as, like, negative or not a team player? Because that's all I am, is a team player. That's literally all I do all day, is train people, pick up slack, work after hours. It's all I do. But this person was like, no. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear this kind of like, and I was like, it's not attitude. It's not attitude at all. It's like fun vibes. Like, it's who I am. It's who I am. And I've been told at work by other managers, oh, you're so positive. I'm so impressed by how positive you are with all this work, and you're getting your master's degree. I'm so impressed by you. And in that moment, I was being so free with these 2 people, so normal, saying like, yeah, I got nothing else to do. I'll do it. Just being funny, being me. I was just being me. And when she was like, no, like did like the hand cross across the neck, like you're cutting your head off, you know? And I was just like, really? I can't even be myself. And I'm dealing with certain people at work, but in the past at work, people have always loved that aspect of me, loved that about me. It is something that I think everyone who meets me loves about me, is that I'm funny, I'm witty, I roll with the punches, but also call out what's happening. Like, I'm very honest, right? So I'm very much like, okay, I don't, sugarcoat or gloss over. You know, if I'm at work and there's a crap load of work to be done, I'm not like, yay. And if a manager's like, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. I'm so great. Oh my God, I couldn't be greater. Is that even a word? I don't know. Oh my God, love you. That's not me. A senior manager, like the VP of some whatever, came by the other day and said, how are you? And I love her. She's so genuine and feels like she actually cares. And I think she does. I don't think I just feel like, I think she actually does. And she was asking me, how are you? And I said, look, we're settling into our new normal. I really can't talk about specific guys, but we're going through it at work, okay? And I was like, I'm settling into my new normal. It was rough the first couple of weeks. I think we're kind of getting it now. And she was so amenable to hearing that. She was so like, oh, good. Of course it's hard. I'm glad you're telling me this, blah, blah, blah. I just want to be myself. I want to tell people what I'm really feeling. And I don't know why this is an issue. I don't understand. I really don't understand this freaking neurotypical, like, let's have a layer. And I just put my hand over my head. There's like, like with skin, the epidermis or whatever. I ain't no scientist, I don't know. But like, there's a layer, right? And that layer is all bullcrap. It's all like what you want people to see, what you want people to think, but it's not based on anything in reality. And it's always not real. It's not real. Like, the amount of people I meet at work that I'm like, oh, you seem, like this is who you are. Okay. And then I find out later, oh, wait, that's not who you are. Oh, wait, you were lying? Oh, wait, you're lying about me now? Wait, am I naive? What's happening? Like, I don't understand, and I still struggle with it, and I feel so naive, that people have, like, work facades, conscious work facades, right? Where they are saying, okay, this is how I'm going to work the system, this is what I'm going to do, and this is who I am at work. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes at work, when you first meet me, I'm closed off at work. Because I'm not comfortable. I'm not sure who you are, who I am, what's happening. But as it goes on, then I start just being like, blah, 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 and get really comfortable. And it's not because, well, here's the thing, it's the intent, right? I'm not trying to deceive you when I'm at work. I'm not trying to F you over. I'm not trying to get ahead of you. I'm not trying to do anything other than protect myself, who I really am, because I'm not sure if you will accept me as myself. And then when I get more comfortable, I'll just open up and be like, blah, murder, blah, ADHD, blah, haha, blah, blah. It's just like crazy. But I don't understand that neurotypical bent where you are like, honestly, completely fake. Like completely fake at work. I just don't get it. And so if I am not my true self, then all of a sudden I'm like, like when that woman like did the cross thing, like, no, don't say that, like, shh, kind of thing. I all of a sudden was like, what? I'm so and then it made me think, okay, so are you saying that because the other times I've been witty about things that people in higher up have been like, she's, whatever. And it's like, no, this is me acknowledging the reality so we can laugh about it. I mean, I guess I'm a bit of a comedian, right? That's what comedians do. You acknowledge what's happening, what's actually happening, with an element of comedy so we can all get through it. So we can say, yeah, that is what's happening. Totally agree. let's bond together and move through. Instead of, let's all be an isolated, weird-ass island, lonely at work, assuming that we're the only ones with these feelings, going to our therapist saying, hey, I'm so alone in these feelings, right? And then going to work and be like, hi, I'm so great. Like, there's someone at my job who has come out and said she's had to take anti-anxiety medication recently. And I was so grateful for her saying that. And imagine if she hadn't. You know, this kind of old vibes, old school, 90s, 80s, prior to that. This kind of like, you need to keep it in and not tell anyone what you're really feeling and how you really are. And no one wants to hear it. Just get the job done. Well, I can't get the job done. I'm a human. You want the job done by someone other than me? Hire a robot. Hire a robot and see how that goes. So, yeah, totally agree with that. Hate it. I try to be as natural and like who I am all the time. Or I don't even try to be, honestly, guys. I mean, I'm sure you're used to it, like with yourselves. You just are kind of like, blah, blah. And if you're not, you're like holding it in with this masking thing, this assimilation thing going, okay, what did I just say? Can I, wait, this feels stunted and weird. What do I say now? Because I can't say what I really want to say. So, I hate it. Definitely a symptom of masking. And when I get comfortable at work, I completely unmask. And usually, generally, it's been received very well. Like, you're so funny, you're so dynamic, you make everyone feel comfortable. And then there's some people who are just like, she's negative, she's too sarcastic, I don't even know why she's saying whatever. Bleh, bleh. You can tell, guys, I'm doing great right now. I'm doing great. And there's an example. That just came out. That's something I would say at work. So we all know we're in the same boat because we're all feeling the same thing. And if anyone else there feels like they're not doing great, you know that I'm in the same boat as you. That being said, Americans don't always get sarcasm, so okay. Let's move on to the second symptom. Okay, the second symptom is signs you are masking autism through pretending. Is that you often find yourself pretending to be normal, quote unquote, in social situations. I think this goes hand in hand with what I just said, right? In that when I recognize that either I'm in a situation where I can't be myself, I spoke about it in the last episode, maybe I'm meeting friends of my husband, maybe I'm meeting friends of my in-laws, maybe someone is visiting my house that I don't know that well. Maybe I'm at work. Yay. But I hate to do that. I hate to have to pretend. But sometimes you have to do it. I'm just not good at it. I mean, I guess I'm good at it, but my outward projection is not what I feel inside. And this is something I said in one of the previous episodes. I talked about what would you do? You know, people ask, what would you do if you could have one super power for a day? Or I think I talked about Freaky Friday, right? So if you could Freaky Friday yourself and come out of your body, go into another body, and people sometimes say, well, I'd masturbate as a guy or a woman. I'd have sex with myself. You know, who knows? I'd do this, I'd do that. For me, I would observe myself. That's what I would do. I'd be out of my own body, and I would observe myself as I am with ADHD and autism, and see how I come across. Because apparently, I come across as very steady, very cool, calm, and collected. It's because I'm a vibrating, massive vibration inside. But yeah, pretending to be normal in social situations, it depends on the situation. If I'm meeting new people, if I'm like going to a job interview. But even then, like in a job interview, I've gained this really great, I don't know how. Maybe I'm just great. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I'm a great person who's really cool, really funny, really intelligent, and you'd be freaking happy to have me. And if you don't have that confidence, you need to get it from somewhere. Where did I get it? I'm honestly not sure. Maybe it's just for myself. Which is nice to think that I'm that great. But I'll be in job interviews and I'm funny, and all my job interviews and meetings, with new people the last few years have been online on Zoom, Teams. I don't translate as well on Teams and Zoom as I do in person. I'm just uncomfortable. I can't connect with you. I can't see your face, feel your body language. But generally, people like me. I am talking and I am unmasked in a way when I'm being interviewed. I'm not worried about, if I've applied to the right job for me, I'm not worried about being who I am. I'm not going to say in an interview, hey, do you like murder? I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. What do you think about slavery? I'm just not worried about that because I'm locked in, I'm geared in, and I am being who I am. And I wish I could do that all the time. And I wish I didn't have that experience that I had at work where I think that person, that manager, was just trying to protect me. That some other people had been I'm just completely assuming right now, based on what happened, that maybe I came across as negative. And I'm like, no, I'm making jokes. I'm bringing it into light. We need to acknowledge what is reality so we can move through it. And I don't know, it's tough, but that's what I want to do. I want to increasingly be myself. Here's what I'll say. If you keep being yourself, who you are, and I don't mean it in a way where, look, you could be talking with a therapist or someone you love and know, and they're like, look, this is a bit toxic, or you need to work through this. But if someone at work is like, you're too witty, well, F you, dude. No, this is who I am. Or you're too shy. Well, I can work on being more open, but this is who I am, and there is power in my quietness. There is power in my calmness, in my unreactivity, right? And so I do love how society now, Gen Z, love you guys for pushing forward these feelings, vibes, these situations, that we can be who we want to be. And there is power in that. There is diversity in that. There is so much in that we can grow as a society if we let people be different. Actually, this is ADHD. Hello. If you are political, and even if you're not, this is important to hear, but it used to be, or it's not political, I'm sorry, murder. It's a murder thing. So juries, when juries get picked, right, people get picked for jury service. And then when they are when you're going to jury service, you're sitting in the big room, and then they call you up for a certain case. And I can't remember if it's at the beginning or a little bit further, but basically the defense and the prosecution are trying to choose the jury, and they get a certain number of picks and denies and blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of people, when they go to a jury, will say, if they don't want to be in a jury, they'll be like, I hate black people, or I'm a super racist, I'm a misogynist, I beat my wife. And they'll just say that to get out of jury service. Because if you say anything like that, you'll get out of jury service because they don't want you on you're too biased, right? And it used to be that lawyers, especially on big cases, the cases you hear about on the news, they do data analysis, all this kind of stuff to figure out, well, will this black woman from this area be more likely to vote my client guilty or not guilty or what have you? Or will this white man be more likely to vote my client not guilty or guilty? And actually what they've found in the last few years, I don't know, 10 years, 20 or 5, I'm not sure, you'd have to look it up, but that juries are becoming less homogenous. So homogenous means the same, alike. But they're actually becoming less like that. So it used to be, let's say 30, 40, 50 years ago, you could say, okay, if we get all these white men, or all these black women, or all these Asian men, or all these Hispanic women, whatever, or just women in general across races, or men in general across races, or people from the age of 20 to 30, you could make a pretty clear assumption about that. You could say that I'm pretty sure it's going to go this way or another. Actually, lately, we are becoming less homogenous. We are thinking independently more. We are not going with the hive mind, and it's actually really difficult to judge juries now. It's really difficult to say, okay, we have 8 white men, we're killing it. It's actually really difficult because I'm just guessing. But probably if you had a jury of all white men, we've seen 12 Angry Men. If you haven't, go watch that, bank it, bookmark it. It's incredible. But back in the day, if you had 12 white men on a jury, and there was, let's say, a black man on the stand for rape or murder or something, he could be innocent, he could be guilty. Go see 12 Angry Men. Go download it, watch it, I'm telling you. And you could assume easily they will vote him guilty. Nowadays, a jury of 12 white men against a black man, who supposedly raped, murdered, who knows? Who knows what invented frickin' thing they've made up. But that you cannot tell now. It's getting harder and harder to actually tell what people are going to do. And I'll be honest, I've completely lost my train of thought, but I know you guys are listening, and that story means something and was related to something I said prior. Thank you, ADHD, and I will put that in the credits. Okay, guys, we're moving on to symptom 3. Signs you are masking autism through pretending. You rely on the support or presence of others to navigate social interactions. Ooh, I hadn't read this before, and man, that hits like a freight train. Because I grew up with almost certainly, I'm going to say all neurodivergent family members. I grew up with a mother. My dad died when I was 4, but it sounds like he had ADHD. My mom almost certainly has ADHD. We're estranged, so I don't know if she's been diagnosed, but she definitely does. My grandmother was diagnosed bipolar, but I am wondering, and I don't want to armchair on people I don't know, but this is someone I know intimately, that she's not bipolar. She actually has ADHD and or autism. I think maybe my maternal grandfather was autistic. He could not function to save his life. Social situations were just not a thing. And so I grew up without a lot of social support. I, went to parent-teacher night. My mom was honestly a bit of a mess. And that's not on her. Good for her for going. She super supported me in that. But she was always very uncomfortable, very shy, just very awkward, didn't like it, And so she wasn't a support for me, right? We did go to things where we would both be like, this is dumpster, this is weird, get me the hell out of here. But then going forward, when I was a teenager, my grandfather was like, why would you invite people to your house? Why would you socialize? My mom's like, hello, what do you mean? But I now really rely on my husband in social situations, which is kind of funny to say because he says that he has social anxiety. And I'm like, bro, if you have social anxiety, it is sunk down deep. I think he does have social anxiety, but I have autism. And we've talked about this, that he might be autistic or have ADHD. I literally cannot function. If I'm in a new space with new people, I come off strange. Really strange. And I kind of start following my husband. It's almost like if I was alone, I do better in a way. I don't know if I do better in that I'm completely unmasked and completely unhinged. But when I'm around my husband in a social situation, I really rely on him. I'm very quiet. And he's not large and in charge, guys. He's really not. Like, he is socially awkward. We're both like, hello. But I'm just like, I don't even, like, if you're here with me, you're my crutch. I don't even know what to do. And so it's almost like when you rip that away, you have to it's like, I can't even think of the idiom. You rise or fall. And generally I rise in social situations. And if you don't like me unmasked, well then, I'm a great person and I'm freaking funny and I'm very intelligent. And if you don't like me, you're a fool. But I do rely on my husband a lot when we're in social situations together, which can kind of handicap me a little bit. Ooh, I don't like that word. Can kind of, I can't think of the word, but I can kind of remove myself and be like, okay, I'm relying on you now. But then it removes all of who I am because I'm so uncomfortable. I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know. And I talked about this last episode as well. I think maybe around my husband too. I'm afraid of embarrassing him, which I want to clarify what I said last episode. He would never, well, before I was diagnosed, he would not feel embarrassed by me, but there were definitely moments before, like years ago when I was not diagnosed, where he super supported me. I mean, I would knock things over in public parties. I would not hear because I had auditory processing issues and would ask random questions that he was like, babe, no, like, why are you? And he was not being mean. He was being like, I'm not getting why you didn't hear that. I'm not getting why you just slapped a cup out of your own hand. Like, he was just like, I'm not getting it, And he talked about it a few months ago, being like, I feel bad because I never saw it. And I was like, dude, I didn't see it. And I have ADHD and autism. You weren't going to see it. And he's like, yeah, but you would do things. And I'm like, yeah. And you thought I was like, a muffin. You were like, what are you doing? Like, how did you and you supported me. I mean, I've been at parties where I've knocked things over in front of a million people, like candles, like that burn the carpet. And he would jump and grab them and be like, I'm so sorry. And I think in my own body, I felt like I was embarrassed, so he should be embarrassed of me. But I don't think he ever has been embarrassed of me. He's listening to this, so he can let me know. But he's always supported me and been that crutch if I needed him. If I was like, wow, I really effed up here, he'd, help me. And I'm so grateful for that because I don't have anyone else who does that. I don't have any friends, and the friends I have had over the years, and they didn't know I had ADHD and autism, even though I think they accepted me. They loved me for who I was. Yeah, I mean, I have my sister-in-law. She's another one, like, super supports me. But we're not in big social situations together a lot. We live like 2.5 hours away from each other. And so we're not just like, oh, meet my friend, da da da. That has happened, and I hated it. But, yeah, man. I hate that. Because I just want to be myself. And then I think when I get around people that I love... That was my dog. I let them... I let them both in the room. I'm gonna... Just give me a second. I'm gonna kick him out of the room. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you heard him whining. They both wanted to be in the room this time, like another episode recently, and I just wanted them here. But... yeah. Oh, God. I just wish I could be my fully unmasked self, even with the people I love around me, introducing me to other people. It just feels so formal. Does it feel formal to anyone else? like, oh my God, I'm just having like a flashback to a nightmare. But when me and my husband lived in the family home with my mother-in-law for 5 years, from the age of 25 to 30. And that's the only way we've been able to buy a house, quite frankly, is we lived with her for 5 years, saved up money, got our crap together, all the things. And she took me, she's a very prominent doctor, like seriously. And she took me to, it was maybe a coworker's house for food. And they were Asian, and they were making the rice wraps. And it's those kind of glass wraps where you can see through, and you have like the herbs, like the very thick, big leaves that you can see and everything. And I was dealing with very intense IBS at the time, and I couldn't have raw vegetables. And so at the table, oh my God, I die just thinking about this. At the table, I took it was like a rice paper wrap, and I just ripped it open and pulled the leaves out, like at the table, like literally just ripped it open. And I remember the woman going, "Oh, if you don't like the leaves, you can have, and I was like, oh my, looking back on that, and my mother-in-law is so supportive, so wonderful, but I do wonder what she thought in that moment. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just basing it on what my family would have done. I mean, she didn't say anything. She was like, do you, boo? And yeah, do you. Okay, guys. All right, this is our fourth and final symptom, because we're going long here on this episode. Wow. All right, so signs you are masking autism through pretending. There is a belief that you cannot fully be yourself around others. I mean, Matt, okay, we don't need to spend much time on this one, right? I've just talked about it this entire time. I unconsciously, FYI, subconsciously is not a thing. My husband listening will love to hear that. Him and his family are grandma Nazis. Unconsciously, am constantly myself around people. And it's gotten me in trouble at work, apparently. Especially in corporate. Like, corporate is a whole other animal. And I don't have that belief, actually. I don't have that as an ingrained belief, that I cannot be myself. What it is that I am myself, and I love being myself, and I love it when people accept me, and I love that people see who I really am and just say, hey, you do great work. You're super intelligent. You're a little wackadoo. Love it. You're funny. You're, love to talk to you. But I want to be myself around people. And when I feel like I can't fully be myself, I do really feel nowadays it's more in like really strict social interactions. So at work with higher ups, or when you're meeting someone for the first time, right? You can't just be like, murder, blah, 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 blah. Like you cannot talk over everybody. You can't be loud. You can't say, hey, I like to collect only purple things. Or my latest thing, I love matcha. Do you love matcha? Oh, you don't? Okay. Well, let me tell you about matcha, because I love it. You just can't do that. And I only find that in certain situations. So I hope all of you have found situations where you are accepted, spaces where you are accepted. If not, maybe just unmask. Like, maybe just be yourself. Because this is like a dating thing, right? If you're fake, if you're not yourself, if you're putting on a facade, you're only going to attract things that are attracted to your fakeness, to your facade. But if you are just yourself, you will attract what is attractive to you. And so maybe just wish that into existence, that I'm going to be myself. I am going to be my weird, wacky self, and people will see it and love it. Like, I really believe that in so many ways, because I believe everyone listening here, all of you, are not serial killers, are not murderers, rapists, sociopaths, psychologists. That was psychopaths, excuse me. You are all loving, accepting, intelligent beings that if anyone saw who you really were, would accept you, would say, and if they don't, they're not worth being accepted by. If they don't accept you, don't waste your time on it, okay? Don't waste your time on someone who judges you for being you when you're just being yourself who's nice, right? I am a good, nice person, and I'm not going to be judged for making jokes at work. I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to let it, I was going to say affect my spirit. It clearly has a little bit, but this is why I'm here with you guys, so I can talk it out. But thank you guys so much for being here. I'm thankful for all of your support. Please keep leaving 5-star reviews. I love to see them, love to feel it. And if you leave a 5-star review that's written, I will read it out on the air. And if you'd like to put a question in there, maybe I will answer that question. So to everyone out there, thank you. Thank you for listening. I feel your spirit. I feel your attendance, mostly because I check my stats about who's listening every day. But thank you so much. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I have an email address, mybrainisawonderlandpod@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. It's died down a little bit while I'm dealing with work and school. I graduate in May, so summer is going to pick right back up. And I can't wait to get with you guys again next week for My Brain is a Wonderland, Season 3.